This is how we all started, in schoolyards and back courts. Hoping those backcourt skills would one day lead to this.
And Ferguson was a brilliant goal. Here's Bat. There's Dodds, and that's him, the equaliser. A brilliant goal by Dodds. Goff is there, and it's there. Ali McCoy's.
Nicholas is there, Connor is there, Bet is there. All of them have scored from free kicks outside the box. There's Connor, lofting it in. The header from Mason. Aberdeen on the head. Focus of the cross. McCoy's backing into Willie Miller. The referee has given a penalty kick. Well, that is quite remarkable. The referee insisting that all players stay out of the box. Here goes Walters against Snuggers. Rangers are back on level terms. There's just 2 minutes remaining in the first period of extra time as David Robertson launches the long throw into the box. Van der Ark get a touch. There's Nicholas. It's back to Mason. 2-1 to Aberdeen.
This kind of football requires very little organisation. But the grown-up game needs structure, and that's why the Scottish Football League was created in 1890. There had been football before the league, of course. The first ever Scotland-England International, a 0-0 draw, was played in 1872 at Hamilton Crescent in the Partick area of Glasgow. But how to establish a regular programme of attractive games and ensure that they were played? Celtic's original fixture card illustrates the problem. Some glamour matches were arranged against top-class English opponents. Few, if any, games were played during the months of December and January, and some, against the likes of Cambuslang and Victoria, were hardly likely to set the pulses racing. It shows something else too, that the first round of the Scottish Cup was played as early as September the 7th, and that one of Scotland's most powerful sides, Queen's Park or Celtic, would be knocked out before the season had properly begun. Mr. Peter Fairley of the Renton Football Club thought he had the answer and sent the following letter to his friends.
Gentlemen, you are requested to send 2 representatives to attend a meeting to be held in Holton's Commercial Hotel, 28 Glassford Street, Glasgow, on Thursday the 20th at 7:30 p.m. Business? To consider the question of organising league matches in Scotland.
And so it was, on March the 20th, 1890, 12 club secretaries met near Glasgow city centre to discuss the plans for the proposed league. 14 invitations had been issued, but Clyde and Queen's Park, the aristocrats of the game, stayed away. Queen's Park, amateurs then as now, believed the new league was bound to encourage professionalism. An 11-club league was formed for the inaugural season, including teams such as Vale of Leven and Renton, who once numbered among the football greats of their time, but were by now little more than village clubs. But Renton didn't last, being expelled for an early flirtation with professionalism, leaving only Dumbarton and Vale of Leven from a county which played such a crucial role in the birth of organised football in Scotland. Over a decade earlier, Vale of Leven enjoyed 3 consecutive Scottish Cup victories. A few years later, their neighbours Renton won it twice, and by going on to defeat FA Cup holders West Bromwich Albion, had the cheek to call themselves champions of the world. A few miles away, along the banks of the Leven, another club was destined to become the first ever champions of the new Scottish League. Boghead Park, the oldest of all Scottish football grounds. It was here that Dumbarton Football Club won the first ever league championship, shared with Glasgow Rangers. The following year, the men from Boghead won the championship outright. But professionalism was coming, despite these brave words from the Vale of Leven chairman.
Contestants in the age of the ancient Greeks strove harder for the honour of being the victor than the paid athletes of these days do. I strongly urge all players to keep themselves free from the stain of professionalism.
This was a pious hope. By the early years of the new century, players such as Bobby Templeton of Kilmarnock were making £5 per week and being put up in the local Temperance Hotel. There was even the beginning of player sponsorship. The great Jimmy Quinn of Celtic advertised a product with the marvellous name of Bogue's Rheumatic Rum. Other players did even better from the game. The Queen's Park and Rangers player R.S. McCall put the money he made from football into a sweet shop, which earned him the nickname of Toffee Bob, and incidentally also made him a fortune. Great players and marvellous club achievements were popularising the game throughout the land. In the 1898 season, Glasgow Rangers completed their league programme without conceding a single point, an accomplishment which has never been equalled and can never be surpassed. Everywhere, Scots played football in their leisure moments. They played it on Sunday school picnics, on works outings, often not bothering to remove their caps. But then, neither had the earliest players. The network of league clubs was beginning to spread beyond the central belt, with the inclusion of Kilmarnock in Ayrshire and Raith Rovers from Fife, as well as Dundee from Tayside and Aberdeen from the north. Indeed, two of those teams, Dundee and Raith Rovers, provided us with some of the earliest recorded film footage of league football in Scotland when they met at Dens Park in 1911. The League Championship medal for season 1903-04 and the third Lanark team which won it are worth looking at, because as the old firm began to assert their supremacy and achieve a stranglehold on the championship, it would not be until 1932, when Motherwell won it, that a club other than Celtic or Rangers would fly the flag. The great Celtic side of the early 1900s was virtually unbeatable. Hardly surprising with such legends as Jimmy Quinn and Jimmy McMenemy in their side. As skills improved, so did facilities. The early wooden pavilions disappeared as grounds were developing a more modern look. Even in those days, there were executive boxes at Celtic Park in the glass-fronted Grant stand. A noble effort, but they'd forgotten that the fans' breath would steam up those sealed windows, and the plan failed. The outbreak of the Great War in 1914 brought enormous problems for the game. But the government was anxious that football should continue, as the grounds were valuable sources for recruitment. The league carried on, but due to travel difficulties, Aberdeen, Dundee and Raith Rovers were invited to withdraw. To make up the numbers, Clydebank were asked to join. They accepted. Scottish football got the royal seal of approval when, in 1917, King George V held an investiture at Ibrox Park, at which he decorated hundreds of servicemen. Many top players enlisted, and curiously, even after the death of Eddie Garvey of Queen's Park, his cigarette card still appeared with a note that he had died of wounds. Several Hearts players also lost their lives, having volunteered for active service. This war memorial, unveiled at Edinburgh's Haymarket in 1918, pays them lasting tribute. Then, suddenly, in November 1918, the war was over, and football boomed as never before. Fans flocked to the games in their thousands. Indeed, football became so popular that there was talk of a breakaway league. In 1922, the league authorities had to bow to popular demand by reviving the second division, which had been a wartime casualty. As that boom continued unabated, a third division was formed in 1923, bringing league football to such unlikely places as Annan, Beath, Clackmannan and Lochgelly. In Lochgelly, a local cinema owner who usually filmed the matches placed a great deal of emphasis on crowd shots, knowing that a week later the fans would flock to his cinema to see themselves, as well as the skills of the stars on the park. However, teams like Lochgelly hadn't the resources for regular league football, and within a matter of years they, like the third division itself, had disappeared. So, who was to mount the challenge to Rangers and Celtic? Airdrie had done their best in the 20s to break the old firm's stranglehold, helped by the blossoming talents of a young inside forward who was beginning to make a name for himself.
They had a wonderful team when I went there, and they taught me all that I knew, or all that I know about football. We had Jimmy Reid, outside right, old Jimmy. You had Willie Russell, who was an artist. Then you had a wee lad that you never heard of, Hughie Gallagher. He made life very hard for himself and for us, because he was a wee narc, if that was allowed.
But Hughie Gallagher was allowed to move to Newcastle United, where he was to become a football legend. And Bob McPhail himself joined the all-powerful Rangers side of the late 1920s. And it was left to the Diamonds' neighbours Motherwell to challenge the Ibrox men, which they duly did by winning the title in 1932, their sole major title success. Although with forwards of the calibre of Bobby Ferrier, Willie McFadgen and the great George Stevenson, the Steelmen came close on 3 other occasions. But Rangers were virtually invincible in the 30s. A decade which began with the death of that prince of goalkeepers, Johnny Thompson of Celtic, who was killed as a result of an accidental collision with Rangers' Sam English, whose first concern was clearly for his injured opponent. The death of John Thompson would ensure him a permanent place in Celtic's folklore. After Thompson's death, a somewhat inconsistent Celtic side enjoyed more Scottish Cup than league success, whereas throughout the 30s, arch-rivals Rangers struck fear into opposition hearts wherever they appeared, even when taking the field in unfamiliar jerseys, as in this league match against Queen of the South at Dumfries. At this time, Rangers were the aristocrats of Scottish League football, with a side full of famous players. And Bob McPhail recalls perhaps the most celebrated of them all, Alan Morton.
He was Pocky, a good player, and if I wasn't giving him the ball, or enough of the ball, he would shout to me, "Oh, Bob!" And, "You forget me? I'm here." And that reminded me that I hadn't given him a pass for the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Of course, not all the game's aristocrats played for Rangers. There was Jimmy McGrory of Celtic, for whom Hampden was as familiar as Parkhead. He played in the 1937 Scottish Cup final, which attracted a record attendance for a cup tie of over 147,000 people. Then there was Tommy Walker, Edinburgh's darling, who just kept on scoring such vital goals against England at Wembley, like this equalising penalty kick in the 1936 match. And in the 1938 visit to Wembley, the Hearts forward scored the only goal of the game.
Scotland plays England each year at Hampden Park, alternatively with Wembley. The teams come onto the pitch with Scotland in dark shirts and England in white. The 1938 match played at Wembley was won by Scotland. Defensive teamwork was demanded by Scotland. Only 1 goal was scored early in the first half by Tommy Walker, famous Scottish footballer.
A super goal, which the crowd would only have had a split second to appreciate, but we can see it again in slow motion. For Tommy Walker, as indeed for many other players, an immediate change of uniform was required, because, unlike the Great War, this time the League programme was abandoned as soon as hostilities began. Willie Thornton won a medal of a different sort, the military medal, but a mere war didn't stop him from playing his football.
I was 4.5 years overseas, through the Middle East and through the Italian campaign. We were pulled out of the line on 3 occasions to play against teams who were flown out. Matt Busby brought a team out once, Stan Cullis brought a team out, and we were the 8th Army team, which included an outside left who played with Willie Waddle with Strathclyde, Charlie Adam.
There was some competitive football played throughout the war, from which important innovations emerged, like summer football and the League Cup competition. The war also provided an opportunity for small-scale fundraising events, like this charity match at Bog Head in 1945 between Dumbarton and Hibernian, which seems to have been taken more seriously by the players than some of the spectators. Once more the flags, once more the pipe bands, and football had to get back to normal again. But normal did not mean the same as before. It was now a wider world, and the first major visitors to Scotland after the war came from the Soviet Union.
The Dynamos were the first Russian team ever to visit Britain, and their form and fitness was a revelation. Unbeaten in 3 matches, they faced a powerful Rangers side, which included Willie Waddle on the wing and the powerful tackling Scott Simon at left half. But it was Rangers who took the honours. They were freshest when the final whistle blew. They left the Russians decidedly groggy.
Scoring that penalty was Scotland and Rangers captain George Young. Here, he shows how to do it in an instructional film of the time. Jackie Husband and Willie Waddle were there too. Willie Waddle played against England in the 1949 International at Wembley, when Scotland beat one of the greatest English teams of all time. In their 3-1 victory, the goalkeeper, Jimmy Cowan, and the goal scorers, Mason, Steele and Riley, were all Scottish League players. Mason got the first. How does Willie Waddle remember 3rd Lanark's Jimmy Mason and his other great Scottish contemporary, Gordon Smith of Hibs?
Mason was studied and took his time to size things up and judge where the opposition was. Jimmy Mason was a great inside forward. A great football brain, and not at 100 miles an hour. And Gordon, I'm still great friends with Gordon. And although we were rivals, it was a friendly rivalry. And we respected it. We had different talents. Gordon had the added quality that he was good with the ball tight at his feet. I needed a bit of space.
And space was what the Hibernian team put between themselves and the rest of the First Division in the late 40s and early 50s. The famous 5 were indeed a formidable force. But it takes more than 5 players to win championships like they did. Hearts responded to Hibs' success, and suddenly Edinburgh was stirring. For the first time in 50 years, Hearts started winning competitions. They brought 15,000 people to Palmerston Park in Dumfries on this particular day in 1950. The spectators' uniform was still the coat and cap in most cases. The class of such players as Jimmy Wardhaw shone through. In 1958 and 60, Hearts would lift 2 league championships, scoring in 58 a record 132 league goals in the process. All under the guidance of Tommy Walker, still looking fit enough to play. In 1957, no one could have predicted the outcome of the League Cup final when Celtic went in as underdogs against their arch-rivals Rangers. It really did seem that every time Celtic attacked, a goal came along. At the end of the day, Celtic had recorded their greatest ever win over their old firm rivals. But league flags were going elsewhere. In 1962, it went to Dundee. It was a great side with players like Hamilton, Penman, Ure and Gilzean. But for one man in particular, Gordon Smith, it was a very special occasion. In gaining his 5th championship medal, he had achieved the unique distinction of winning league medals with 3 different clubs: Hibs, Hearts and Dundee. Rangers, with great players like Jim Baxter, Ralph Brand, Jimmy Miller and Davy Wilson, won the next 2 league titles. And in 1964 they won the League Cup as well, beating their oldest rivals 2-1 in the final. But the next year's league flag was snatched dramatically by Kilmarnock, who had never won the title before. It was a real cliffhanger because on the last day of the 1964-65 season, Killie had to go to Tynecastle and win 2-0. Nothing less would do.
Much better Kilmarnock play. Still McAnally. McLean. It's a beautiful one. Snedden's a goal! What a goal by Snedden, engineered by young McLean on the right wing. And so with 17 minutes still to play in this first half, Kilmarnock have got one of these very precious 2 goals that they're after. Snedden, Bertie Black. Still Black. He's putting it forward to McElroy. And it's a goal! It's a goal by McElroy. Gordon's in there. Watson clearing. McAnally. Well, I don't know how long this game's going to go on. It's played well overdue by me. A great save! Magnificent save by Ferguson. Willie Waddle has gone mad. He's running onto the field. There is Willie Waddle. Right on he goes. There is Willie Waddle, and what a joyful man he must be. Fantastic scenes. Waddle's been hugged by supporters, by players, and if ever a man has gone out of Scottish football with a blaze of glory, it's Willie Waddle.
They were good players with a bit of pride. They had pride in Kilmarnock at that time, which I'm a wee bit sorry about. It's gone out of the game professionally now. But professional footballers in these days were proud fellas. Having won the league championship, I said to myself, well, Waddle, you can't do any more. You can't do any better. You'll only go back the way. And in my playing days and in my managing days, I went out when I felt I was at my peak. And I never regretted it.
As Killie were winning that title in Edinburgh, Celtic were taking the Scottish Cup at Hampden. 6 months later, they were back there on League Cup business.
Beating Provan on the outside, then trying to swing past him. Penalty. Second penalty of the match. This time the man who's penalised is Provan. So, Rangers 0, Celtic 2.
Final score 2-1, and the start of the greatest trail of triumph in the history of League and League Cup competition.
Big Jock came back and certainly inherited a very talented squad of players. But he developed them and persuaded them to perform to their potential. He changed things dramatically. He asked players to do the things that they were capable of. He never asked for any complicated tactics. Everything was straightforward, and everything was refreshing, and everything was fun. In the early days, it was marvellous. It was terrific. You enjoyed coming to training. You enjoyed looking forward to games. And we never any time thought that anyone could beat us. Or, shall I put it a different way, we never ever thought there wasn't anybody that we couldn't beat.
1967 was a year filled with pride for Celtic and their chairman Bob Kelly, as his club won every honour for which they competed, becoming the first non-Latin side to win the European Cup. It was the age of the greatest collection of players ever to wear the green and white hoops, an era when names such as McNeil, Johnston, Murdoch, Lennox and Dalglish were winning 9 championships in a row and writing a glorious chapter in the history of Celtic Football Club. In the League Cup finals of the late 60s, Celtic could do no wrong, winning the trophy in 65, here in 66, and on through till 1969. But perhaps their most breathtaking performance came in the semi-final against Morton at Hampden in 1967.
Craig. Wallace. Johnson allowing it to run Hughes. Back to Hughes. Often retreating, not certain what to do against this giant of a winger. Wallace. Arentoff. Arentoff. Old. Murdoch. Lennox is onside. Murdoch. Craig. So as yet we haven't required either trainer. Craig. Hughes. What a goal by Hughes.
Celtic at their best. But in 1970, that League Cup bubble burst when a 16-year-old Dundonian scored the goal which took the trophy to Ibrox for the first time in 6 years.
Steen and Derek Johnson out in front. It's there. Centre forward Johnston scores. A beautiful header from Willie Johnston's cross.
That Derek Johnson goal is now part of Ibrox folklore. But a year later, Celtic were back in the final, their opponents Partick Thistle, and it was to prove the most dramatic upset in the history of the competition.
Down to Ray. And it's a goal! Ray scores for Thistle. McQuaid flicking it forward to Bowen. On to Laurie. Laurie, edge of the box. Inside, right foot shot to the far side, and it's there! Laurie scores a sensational goal. Laurie with a corner. Up go the heads. It's chance for Thistle. McQuaid scores! A sensation. 30 minutes played and it's 3-0. Taken by Laurie. In comes Bowen. Walks the ball into the net. It's 4-0.
Final score, 4-1, and joy for the Jags. But sadly, back in 1967, and little more than a goal kick away from Hampden Park, an old friend had died of neglect. Third Lanark were no more, and all that remained were memories of the great Third Lanark stars whose skills had once graced Cathkin Park. Even among the dereliction, football went on, as it does to this day, on the newly landscaped site. But while Third Lanark were grinding to a halt, the Celtic League flag bandwagon went on and on. And in 1973, they sealed one of their closest fought titles with this victory at Easter Road.
Neil coming in, and it's Callahan's turn. Off the line, it's there! Big Sidines. And the grain breaking quickly. Celtic have extra men. Johnston on the right. Dalglish. And mix up. It must be Kenny Dalglish. And the Celtic fans urging them on. He going round. And there it is. Dick Sidines gets his own second goal. Celtic's third. A historic moment for Celtic. And there's the Celtic skipper, Willie McNeill, being congratulated sportingly by Eric Shadler, but look at the joy on the Celtic players. 2-goal Dick Sidines, 1 from Kenny Dalglish, and Celtic taking the deserved cheers of the packed crowd here at Easter Road.
The wind of change was about to blow through Scottish football's corridors of power. Talk behind the closed doors at League headquarters was of reconstruction. It came about in season 1975-76, but not before Rangers had clinched the last old-style First Division title.
Picked up by Stanton. Shadler and Duncan on the left. Shadler sprinting downfield, and that's a nice cross. There's a great chance for Hibs. And the ball's in the net, and it's a goal. Rangers trying to keep the pressure on. McLean out to Jordan. Cool play by Jordan. A good pass forward to McKean. McKean going in the outside, getting it across. Chance for Steen, and a goal! 16 and a half minutes played, and Easter Road erupts. And it's all over, and Rangers have done it. There's Jock Wallace. And there's Sandy Jordan, and that's the picture that says it all. After 10 long years, Rangers have won the Scottish First Division Championship. There's John Gregg with Jock Wallace.
I had a hard time with injuries that season, and we hadn't won the league championship for a long time. And Jock Wallace, the manager at the time, had arranged with Sandy Jordan, who was a very close friend of mine, living next door to me in Edinburgh. And Sandy came off near the end of the match to allow me to go on. I wasn't fit to play, but it was a gesture that I really appreciated from the management at the time. And I went on there, and we managed to win the championship that day. And yes, it was a special day.
Those Rangers fans, having enjoyed the winning of the last old-style title, also had cause to celebrate when, in 1976, manager Jock Wallace steered the Ibrox men to the first ever Premier Division flag. Wallace, by his own admission, was Rangers daft, and the club were to go on and win 2 trebles under his inspiring leadership. But the old firm domination of championship wins ended in 1980. Northern lights were now shining, and never more brightly than when Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen side ended the 15-year Rangers-Celtic stranglehold on the title.
And again, McGee with a great chance. It comes loose, and it's a goal by Watson. Kennedy once again. Curl in towards Archibald. It's a good touch in. What goes? In, yes. Scanlon the scorer. Kennedy. Archibald. Now McGee. Still on it. Great run by McGee. Does, yes. Been far from a classic. But Aberdeen have done exactly everything right from this beautifully inside. Watson. Oh, the bar. Scanlon. Yes! What a marvellous goal to finish this match. And that's it. They have won. Alex Ferguson is on now in the penalty area. That is it. Aberdeen have definitely won the championship.
When I went to Aberdeen, you just knew that some of the players they had, they weren't going to win the league. I'd 1 or 2 important signings. Mark McGee was important, Peter Wee was important. And they become influential in winning the league. But once you win the league, with anything else, success breeds success. Players get belief in themselves. Aberdeen supporters were able to stick their chest out with pride in the type of side we were building, and it just got better and better. And it got to a stage where Celtic managers were planning against Aberdeen to stop them playing, and that was a great testimony to the excellence of the Aberdeen team.
But there was another light in the north to contend with. Jim McLean's Dundee United, who, along with Aberdeen, made up the new firm, which throughout the 80s was to mount a major challenge for honours.
Kirkwood is still down, but that's a good ball to Pettigrew. Still a chance. He scored. 14 minutes gone. Dundee United have taken the lead. Holt. Sturrock on the left again. Fleming is inside. That's Pettigrew done it. Now Sturrock on the break. Willie Pettigrew's inside and he's on the clear. When he an own goal. 3-0. And there it goes. The final whistle. United have won the Scottish League Cup. There is Jim McLean, having been near honours so often. And this is United's first major win in their long history. And Paul Hegarty lifts the League Cup.
And it was to prove no fluke. They were back at Dens the following year, retaining the trophy against city rivals Dundee. And by an amazing coincidence, it was also at Dens Park on the last day of season 1982-83 that United secured Scottish football's greatest prize.
Milne wriggles clear, might just get the chip, and he does. He's scored. Oh, what a great goal. Yes, Sturrock nearly goes down. Penalty kick. Bannon against Kelly. He saved it. That's it though. The second. Fraser. Up come the blue shots. There's Sinclair trying to get in. Ferguson. He's done it. 2-1. If it is possible, I have my eyes on the referee. It's gone. That's it. The finish. United have done it for the first time in their history. The Scottish Premier Division champions, and there is a man. He has been a great manager, and winning this title is the outward manifestation of it. And no doubt he'll bring himself tonight to a smile.
I would now say that the Premier League has been very good for Dundee United, in that the closeness of games has meant that other clubs have been able to beat Rangers and Celtic, and therein lies the tale why Dundee United were able to win the Premier League, because make no mistake, we could not win the Premier League on our own. And I remember Alec Ferguson saying to me years and years ago that we need each other. And I was wondering what he was at, because as always Fergie was very shrewd. But after we discussed the statement he made, it made me realise that we do need each other, and we more than any, and I mean the provincial clubs, need every other provincial club to take points off Rangers and Celtic, and then at the end of the season one of us can sneak in and win the title.
The arrangement certainly seemed to be working. With Aberdeen taking the next 2 championships, it meant that for the first time ever, the title was won 3 years in a row by clubs other than Rangers or Celtic, shifting the balance of power from the West Coast to the East. It would have been 4 in a row for East Coast clubs, but for the amazing events on the final day of the 1985-86 season. To win their first title since 1960, all Hearts had to do was avoid defeat against Dundee at Dens Park, while Celtic had to win convincingly against St Mirren at Love Street. Here's how it unfolded.
And a great header by Brian McClair. 6 minutes gone, and McClair does it again for Celtic. McClair doing well, winkling the ball free to McStay. Here's Mo Johnston. It's there! Mo Johnston, the Celtic fans' hero. Here's Paul McStay. Finding Aiken, now McGrain. Celtic in full cry now as McClair gets free on the right. There's Johnston. Absolutely magnificent. No question about it, Celtic are certainly playing like champions. Archdeacon testing Tom Wilson. Makes his way to the byline, here's Gordon McLeod, now McStay. 4-0 to Celtic. White to McStay. Someone trying to play Celtic offside. They failed, here's Johnston. Now Gordon McLeod. McClair!
5-0 for Celtic at Love Street. But at Dens Park, Hearts were still on course for the title, with a score nothing each and only a few minutes left.
Kidd. Run is good round the outside, and McDonald happy to step in, concede that corner kick. Swinging in and swinging in very dangerously. There's a goal! Kidd has scored!
Paul McStay. Well, Stuart needed 2 bites. Now that must be a goal for Dundee. Sheer bedlam around the stadium. Well, you don't need to hear any more news on that. Dundee clearly has scored at Dens. And let's lift off here at Love Street.
And this is now so agonising for Hearts. Will this championship disappear from the very eyes? Kidd. What a marvellous substitution this has been for Dundee and Hearts. Looking slightly ragged, there's a great chance. They've done it! 2-0. A brilliant goal by Kidd, his second.
And there's the final whistle. Celtic have won by 5 goals to 0. Eddie McGrain goes on to convey the news of the position at Dens Park. The Celtic supporters invade the field. It's only a formality to hear that Celtic have won the league championship in the most dramatic fashion.
Only hearts of stone could fail to sympathise with the Edinburgh team and its supporters. It was on that very day, though, that an Edinburgh man took charge of Glasgow Rangers, Graham Souness. He and league success were to become well acquainted over the next 4 years, with the Ibrox men taking 6 of the 8 league honours available. Rangers' last 2 Scottish League championships were won with points to spare.
Wilkins and Sterling. And there it is, and it's in! Beautifully by Sterling. Did well to get out of that. Oh. Left it to each other. Look at this comedy of errors with Drinkle. Well, that's not a bad ball. A great goal, Sterling. Oh, superbly taken by the big man. He is having a field day. Looking for Walters, and he just gets him there. Price. Oh, brilliant goal, Drinkle. Oh, yes, superb goal. Off. Here's Ferguson. On to Cowan. There's the race forward. No offside. Drinkle. And he done it. His second. Rangers fourth. With it, the Stevens, a great goal! Oh, that was a superb goal by the man who I think has been the outstanding player afield, and watch the way he clinically finished that off. Maine with no chance. 13 minutes gone, Rangers take the lead. And we're now almost 2 minutes into injury time. There's Butcher. Oh, he did that brilliantly. And there it goes. Rangers are the champions. Absolute exultation.
All vital goals, and all scored by Englishmen. Their presence at Ibrox is just one feature of the Souness revolution. But it hasn't stopped there. The Scottish League now plays host to quality footballers from all over Europe.
To the ball. Oh, he did that very well. Stick right there. Stormberson, that's a beautiful goal. And the Continentals combine.
Superbly finished for Dundee United.
But the glory and the goals in the Scottish Football League are not the sole property of the Premier Division. Great goals are scored at Stennismuir, Brechin and Methil too.
East 5 now using the long ball tactic, and it bounces towards Paul Hunter. Paul Sexton with the throw. Tom Condy trying to control the ball. There's Walker! What a goal! And it's knocked down. Oh, Albion not clearing the ball away, and Sexton scores. Here's Clark again supporting the attackers. Blocked away by Brian Robinson. And Clark's cross into the middle. This could be 2-1, it is.
Spectating has always been a hazardous business, from the earliest grandstands to the packed open terraces, which always carried the potential for disaster. The dreadful tragedy at Ibrox in 1971, when 66 people lost their lives, prompted a major rethink on the question of ground safety. Rangers manager Willie Waddle vowed to transform Ibrox, and he realised his vision with the completion of this magnificent all-seater stadium, widely acknowledged as one of the finest in Europe. St Johnstone followed Rangers' lead with their newly built McDermott Park in Perth, where the quality of the surroundings matched the quality of the play in this crucial First Division clash against Airdrie towards the end of the 1989 season.
First time shot, it was deflected, and Martin pulled off the save of the season. Chance for St Johnstone, Mascray, off the bar, would you believe? Guinness, very deep. Break on through the middle for St Johnstone. Another super save by Martin. Denies Cherry. Grant turning well. Moore, the danger man now. Mascray to the near post. Cherry off the bar. And for the second time in the match, St Johnstone hit the bar. Miss McDonald. Close attentions of trainer. And Mascray slipping McKeown for the first time. St Johnstone attackers making the run. Grant at the far post. Moore, Grant off the bar again. Incredible for the third time. Boyle. St Johnstone defence a little adrift. Gray. Oh, super goal for Airdrie. 69 minutes. Steve Gray breaks the deadlock. The Airdrie supporters are jubilant. Airdrie have taken great heart from that goal. Chance for Mascray, and that looks a penalty. Yes, it is. Brian McKeown, for once, was caught by Mascray, and that is a clear penalty. And Mark Traynor, who has been one of many fine players on the pitch this afternoon, the responsibility rests with him. The clock showed 76 minutes, and he's cool. One each. St Johnstone fans lifting their side. One last effort. Grant, it's a goal for St Johnstone! The crowd know we're inside the last minute. Grant to Heddle. He's in the clear. And that finishes it! Kenny Ward inside the last minute. A game that was explosive and exciting, and illustrated all that's best in Scottish football.
The shape of things to come? Let's hope so. With the emphasis on spectator comfort and a free-flowing, entertaining style of play, we've come a long way from this Scottish League match of 1894. Is our game today better or worse? Anyone who saw the League Cup final of 1988 would argue that the game in Scotland is as healthy today as it's ever been.
That is a penalty kick. And here's Bett against Walker. Brilliantly finished by Jim Bett. Roberts is dictating things. That's brilliantly struck by Davy Cooper. Jimmy Nichols' header. There's Fleck. Durant's header to McCoist. There's Durant, a great chance for Rangers. And that was magnificent. Far post cross, Walker caught in two minds. Here's a great chance for Hewitt. Yes! Now McKinney stepping away from Cooper. Joe Miller back to Bett. towards Faulkner! Willie Faulkner's header and Aberdeen are ahead! That's header, there's no one up for Aberdeen, they're all back defending as Nicol returns it. Roberts with the header, there's Ian Durrant and Fleck!
Rangers won after a penalty shootout. But the real winner that day was Scottish football itself. With games like that, full of passion, glory and goals, we can look forward with pride to the next 100 years of the Scottish Football League.
There's no doubt there's a lot of capable people coming into the game. There's a lot of capable people who have been in the game a long time. I think the game is very well run. Scottish Football League is going from strength to strength.